Welcome to the show, Seth.
Thanks, Asa.
Maybe you can start off by telling us a little bit about how you got involved with Mozilla and what you were doing before you got involved in Mozilla.
Okay. I've been a longtime Mozilla user and first learned about Firefox and Thunderbird and the project back in 2005 when I was working for a presidential campaign. And we all decided to put Firefox on our computers then. And since then, I then went to graduate school, and after I finished my 2 years of school at Berkeley, had applied for a job in marketing with Mozilla. And fortunately enough, Paul Kim, the marketing director, looked very closely at my resume and said, "You have a lot of experience that might actually be very useful within our community, in helping to empower the community, organize the community." So he said, "Would you be interested in helping to start up a program where we figure out ways to creatively get resources back into the community of Mozilla?" And of course, I was so honored, and also in a way, because that would have been a description of an ideal job. You know, being inside the technology sector, but doing something that helped empower people, almost a philanthropic nature to it, but in a very strategic way. So I said, absolutely, and started last July and have been here for over a year.
So we've been working pretty closely together for the last year.
Definitely.
Can you tell us some about how this program functions, what the basic goals are for the Community Empowerment Program, and maybe some of the successes we've seen coming out of this program?
Sure. I think it's important to realize that in a program where we have resources that we can give back to a community, the critical element is to try to figure out ways that empower people in a highly leveraged way. And so without dwelling too much on the jargon, we try to look for where a relatively small level of resources can provide or amplify into a much bigger impact inside the community. And so we try to think of where are there different points where we can have high impact, providing that level of resources. So some of the successful cases happen at very individual levels, and they happen at bigger, community levels inside the project. There are critical contributors who are running tests and builds and developing on very old systems. So if we can provide them a new laptop with updated operating system to enhance their ability to contribute, we'll do that. Or in some cases, we try to do things like put a server in place. When I first got on board, we learned that the Bugzilla project was running on a server that was overwhelmed and needed a lot more. So we analyzed it and we put a server in place. So we look at ways that we can, impact individuals and bigger members, larger communities inside the Mozilla project to see where we can have the most impact.
So, Seth, what's the actual process for someone finding the Mozilla Community Empowerment Program and then making a request to participate in that, and then taking that request through evaluations, through fulfillment, or not?
So the process is, it started out small, and it was word of mouth. You and I did a lot of the outreach trying to find individuals who we knew were big contributors, but were not part of the employee or contractor staff here at Mozilla. And it has since grown to referrals from people who know the project exists. We promote through our blogs. You can find on my blog, which is blog.mozilla.com/Seth. You can find out specific ways to see if you might qualify. You can download, or you can link to a public-facing wiki page that describes the process straight from my blog. And it will tell you what we're looking for from contributors, what questions we ask ourselves, how do we come to decisions, and if you want to self-nominate, you can. And of course, if you know people, we're always looking for contributors to evaluate and support.
So a contributor that's looking for community support, community empowerment from this program, they can go to your blog or to the wiki.
Yes.
And either nominate themselves or one of their peers in the community. What are the kinds of questions that we ask there? What are the kinds of information that we want to know about that contributor and their impact on the community?
So the first question is, who are you? How long have you been with the project? What are you doing? Sort of summarize, giving someone a chance to just introduce themselves. In many cases, we know them, but we'll ask them to just sort of tell us everything you've done. Then we ask them to provide a little bit of background research, or we'll try to look for it ourselves. And we do that mostly by going to Bugzilla and looking at, patches they may have submitted, bugs they've commented on, how long they've been around, just trying to endorse what it is they're actually proposing. We ask them, what is it that they need? What could we give them that would help improve their contribution to the project? We research that cost. And then we try to ask them, interesting questions like, if we were to provide you with this support, can you describe how it would help amplify your work to provide a greater impact? That gets to that leverage standpoint, that leverage question, like that impact question. We ask them specifically, how do they feel they're advancing the mission of Mozilla? So we really try to look at the individual and start to ask critical questions that we know align well with what the Mozilla project is trying to do in total.